They knock us off. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Success Secrets Revealed live stream show. I'm your host, Ronald Couming, and as you can see, we got Dave Corbin with us. He's an amazing man. I'm going to read his bio or parts of it in a second. I want to tell you about how the show came about. And first, we came about. I have a radio show called Internet Marketing and Business Solutions, and roughly 1.7 million reach. Was a weekly show. It still is, but since COVID's going on, they are only they're not manning it. They're just running reruns. So I kind of pivoted a little. I still wanted to give back and bring on great guests. I mean, we could still just use those reruns, but I wanted to bring on people that could talk to us now about what's going on now, how people can navigate through the world as it is now, not necessarily how it was 2 years ago from some of those other great interviews. So that's how this show came about. I just wanted to continue, and I'll take this audio and I'll send it over, and the radio station will put it in the run so people will, get to hear it. But I wanted to do the live stream here. I also want to let you know that no guest gets paid to be on this show. I don't get paid to be on this show. So this is everybody just coming here of their own free time and effort and just trying to contribute and help the best way they can. We do have one sponsor, and that's my company, RCS Online Solutions. And we help business owners and entrepreneurs, much like yourself, get their products and services and solutions in front of the people they serve, so they can help more. I mean, you have a gift, you have a solution, you have a product, something that's going to help somebody's life or business be better. And that's what we do. We get you in front of them so they can consider you and then possibly hire you. So now I want to talk to you about Dave Corbin. Dave Corbin is an amazing man. Some of his attributes: he's a two-time Wall Street Journal best-selling author who has been referred to as the Robin Williams with an MBA because because of his very practical, high-content speeches, coupled with real-life entertaining and sometimes side-splitting stories and applications. He's also known as mentor to the mentors, and he's trained and advised and mentored and guided many luminaries in many fields of speaking. Dave has so much to offer, and I'm going to bring him on right now so he can talk to you a little bit more about some of his accolades, which far exceed a little bit that I just read. Dave, how you doing?
Always good. Fantastic. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I see you hanging out with Mick Jagger in the background there, and
I've got Mick. I've got Jimmy over there. I got Bobby Dylan over there. A couple of my pals.
Yeah. Now, did you actually hang with them back in the day?
I never really. None of those. In my career, I've hung out with some pretty amazing artists and musicians, but not those guys. I've seen them a number of times live.
Yeah. Good for you. And you've been to Woodstock too. So.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, if I move this thing over a little bit, you'll see that's an original Woodstock poster over there, signed by a number of the performers there.
That's huge. And naturally, you were there too, right? As a holograph, because you're way too young to have actually physically attended, right?
Yeah, no, I had just turned 17 years old when I hitchhiked up there, unbeknownst to my parents, because I was working as an assistant cook at a camp in upstate New York, even though I grew up downstate. And it was great. And I was backstage and until I got kicked out. But I learned some life lessons. In fact, I'm working on 2 books right now, and one of them is this WW Woodstock Wisdom, Psychedelic Success Strategies, What I've Learned at Woodstock.
Wow. I mean, what a great title.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, it should be very, very cool. I learned a lot. I learned a lot everywhere. I was the lousiest student in school. I was one of the funniest, one of the most creative, one of the most mischievous, one of the most cited by vice principals for being a hooligan, a troublemaker and stuff. I was never a great student there, but I've been a student in life. And so Woodstock was yet another campus on which I studied a ton of cool, I mean, I learned a ton of cool things.
I love it. And have you found too, like I have, and sometimes that people who don't excel in one area, and whether it's, sitting down in a classroom and learning in a conventional, way, but, they excel in many other areas of their lives. And sometimes they compensate. So, if they're not good here, they're good over here, and they just learn how things work, and they navigate and get through the best they can. And you've certainly excelled.
It is a compensation. It is a compensation. It's very interesting how the human condition works. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an innovator. I'm an inventor. And then I build companies around the products that I invent. I have 2 new inventions that happened just before and during pandemic. But, we sort of compensate. When I was a kid, I was short. I still am. I would compensate with my words. And sometimes with my fists when we were, in gangs back then, and with humor. That's a form of compensation. Stevie Wonder, he was actually sighted for a short period of his life, but his ear, he was actually able to see for a short period. But his ears and his other senses then, of course, compensate. And from a vocalist point of view, he's kind of magical and all. So, so there's that semblance of compensation. And so I learned by talking to you, by talking to other people that we know who are bright, brilliant, luminaries, subject matter experts. I learned that way. I didn't learn in school. Oh, I've got a diploma somewhere up there. I don't know, there's an honorary doctorate up there, and there's a diploma where I graduated the university with honors. But I wasn't a typical student, nor are most innovators or subject experts. We learn our way. It's really funny because I'm doing some work with right now. In fact, I'll be with him today. Academy Award winning movie star. He was in Jaws. He was in Goodbye Girl. He was in The Graduate. He was in, a whole lot of very cool movies. His name is Richard Dreyfuss. And Richard, we're working on a project, a very exciting project that I don't have to get into right now, but it has to do with civics and teaching about civics. In any event, he was talking about this book and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, he said, I don't remember the author. And I said, what? That sounds like Howard Gardner from Harvard. He goes, oh my God, yes, that's who it was, Howard Gardner from Harvard University. How do you know that? I said, I'm not sure. I certainly didn't learn it in college. But I do remember he said this, and this is apropos to what you just said, Ron. He said, it was Howard Gardner who said, don't ask how smart that kid is. Ask, how is that kid smart? Wow. Mic drop on that one. How is that kid smart? He sucks in school and he's not doing well in math. But if you ask him what the stats are to any NBA player and how to figure out those statistics, boom, he's got it nailed. But he sucks in math? I don't think so. You know what sucks? Is the teacher's ability to reach that student. Teacher's ability to reach that student. Yeah. And I have no regrets per se about not having teachers early in my career, or even my parents talking about education, how, why, where, etc. I don't have any regrets. I picked it up myself. And as Frank Sinatra says, I did it my way.
I love it. And you're from New York too. I like to joke with you once in a while. How do I get the Vinnies, man? I want to get a dog. How do I get the Nathans?
Yeah.
I want to go to the island. I want to get a dog.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. So, but I think, the entrepreneur, the innovator needs to applaud herself, celebrate herself for creating and developing new things in new ways. But mark me on this. Do not stop learning. Continue to learn, however and wherever that is. Well, Hey, David Corbin, you're preaching to the choir. They're on this podcast. They're listening to this conversation. Yes, and keep doing it. Turn up the volume, as they say in Spinal Tap. Turn it up to 11. Turn it all the way up. Keep learning, baby.
I love it. And that's so huge, especially like if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, you have to innovate. And if you don't make your own products obsolete, somebody else will come along and do it. So you have to constantly be adding value. I love how like people like Alex Stern, when he talks about his pillars of success, at first I couldn't really relate to it because it was just so huge, right? But then when he broke it down to, you don't have to be the one to create the entity, the thing. Just find something that you could maybe do better, like let's say Airbnb or Uber or Lyft. They already found something that existed, but there is a way to do it better. Or if there is an existing product or service out there and there is one part that is just inconvenient to the client, and you can then have an add-on service, the bigger company will either hire you as a vendor, or you could just, sub, their services and just feed off them. So you don't necessarily have to create the whole. You just have to find a need and just create that niche. But you've got to constantly be innovating, listening and learning. And that's what I like to say: listen, learn, serve, and earn.
I love it. And have a what I call a Da Vinci book. And you write your ideas in there. Ooh, what if I did this? Ooh, what if I did that? We're right now, I've got two innovations, and one is a shoe insole for diabetics, for diabetic neuropathy. And so we already have the patent on it, or my partners did, but that patent is going to expire and whatnot. So we're actually innovating and creating a patent around the existing patent. So we're making it even more betterer, you see. And it's kind of cool because, the common thread to my inventions, I invented something years ago, and we were awarded the Innovation of the Year worldwide by Margaret Thatcher, Tom Peters, Maya Angelou. It was a big thing. It was like my 5 minutes of fame and all, and I was smart enough to sell the business right after we won that award. In any event, every one of my inventions is designed to serve person kind. That one was a lifestyle touchscreen patient interview for the medical community, and so the doctor, they're presented with a file where they know who you are, where you're coming from, what's important to you, what your issues and challenges are from a lifestyle point of view, so that you don't go into a doctor's office with a problem and then you leave having never addressed that problem. You put your key in the ignition and you go, oh crap, I forgot to mention this to the doctor. Well, I changed that. And that was an innovation, and that was kind of group. Most recently, I invented the rejuvenation station, which you and I talked about, for emergency departments, because emergency departments, they have the highest turnover in the hospital. People leave the hospital, doctors and nurses, because of the stress and the tension. And then sometimes they don't only leave the hospital, they leave the field. So we invented something, and it's taken off like crazy. And 4 months of clinical testing completed in the emergency departments right before this thing called COVID hit. You can't make this stuff up. It's bizarre. And it was designed to solve that $4.38 billion turnover problem, let alone medical error. So all of my inventions are designed to serve person kind. This latest one, it's a shoe insole for diabetics. Diabetics often have this thing called neuralgia, diabetic neuropathy, where they can't feel on the bottom of their foot. If they step on a nail, they become septic, and that's when they end up cutting, the toes off and the ankle off. Happened to my grandmother, happened to my business partner's family and stuff like that. So this has a stainless steel base and whatnot. And it's going to keep diabetics moving. They're afraid to walk, moving, because if you don't move, you die. So this all comes from observation, connections with others, Yeah, I mean, I just freewheel to so many. I wrote a book that made the Wall Street Journal bestseller list just months ago, and it was talking about the importance of connection, the importance of breadth and depth of knowledge, the importance of sense of humor, and those sorts of things. So put it all together, get off your ass, think of something cool, serve person kind, make a shit pot of money, and take that money and do good stuff with it.
I love it, man. I love it, and it's so interesting that you the whole thing with the diabetics and not being able to walk. I mean, it's also their quality of life and everything, but helping them, you know, it probably extends their life too because now they're getting exercise, but their quality of life, you know, but seeing that need and filling that niche. Now that need was there, you know, long before you saw it, but you came along and you saw it opposed to someone else just because of the way you've trained your mind to see situations. So I love that, and it just gives back. And also this chamber that you talk about, you're right, you got done with the trials right before COVID. So how has that been? How's that? That must, because especially in New York and some of the East Coast, when that first hit, I mean, it was devastating. Now it's, you know, it's still an issue, but it's not as problematic as it was, or you know, at least that's my understanding. But back when it first hit, especially in New York, I mean, have you implemented or have these been put in place over there? Because those medical professionals, I can't imagine what they went through.
Yeah. So funny, I got this hat here. Sometimes we're on my boat. It says "I'm in control." I think it says that. Yeah, it says "I'm in control." Well, guess what? That's an illusion, baby. And in New York, it's still not a good. There's not a hospital today. Now remember, we did research in emergency departments before COVID existed, and that massive problem existed before COVID. So I promise you, it hasn't gotten better since COVID.
Yeah,
So
it had to have gotten significantly worse.
exactly. So right now we have 20. Let me see. We have 19 units being shipped out to 19 different hospitals in New York City. And we're shipping an innovation on our innovation. It is a pod. It's a privacy pod that you walk in, you open the door, you sit down, it's spa-like, it's isolating, it's very groovy, it's got a touch screen. If you go to Rejuvenation Stations, plural, rejuvenationstations.com, you'll see what it is. And so that you select whatever journey you want to take. It's video nature, anywhere from 3 minutes to 10 minutes. The video is created by an Emmy Award-winning videographer, and then we have an Emmy Award-winning music scoring expert. So you sit in there and you go in there with your crazy roles and goals, and you emerge in touch with your soul. And that's kind of cool. It was a $20,000 bill to the hospital. Not a big deal for a hospital, dollar and cents wise, but to ship it and build it was kind of a pain in the ass. So we said, well, how can we innovate on the innovation? And and you can see it on rejuvenationstations.com. We created the RS Go, Rejuvenation Station Go, which is a kiosk sort of on wheels, and you use a Bose noise canceling headset and shoots your journey to the same screen, and it works the same way, and it's only $3,500 to the hospital. So
Wow.
a fund in New York that supports hospitals in New York, the Tisch Foundation. You're gonna believe this. You know, I'm known for a book called Illuminate, right? The
Yep.
foundation is called the Tisch Illumination Fund. What? So they put up about 70, 80 grand, and we're shipping a bunch of them that are being manufactured right now. Being manufactured in Compton, California, out of Compton. And so they're being shipped straight out of Compton, man. And so, my manufacturer is another amazing story. Victory Display. They are a pure entrepreneurial organization run by two run by or owned by two amazing, hardworking, and humble entrepreneurs. Look, I believe this country is in deep doo-doo, has been for a while, politics aside. I think that we're at a break point with all the characteristics of a breakdown, but all the opportunity of a breakthrough. And I think it's the entrepreneur. No, strike that. I know it's the entrepreneur that's going to continue to build this country to massive greatness by creating economies and jobs and the like. It's the entrepreneur, baby.
Yeah.
My manufacturer's one, I are one, you are one.
Yeah, I love it. And it's so important too, because we need solutions. And you're right. Politics aside, it doesn't really matter. I mean, people are hungry. People need to eat. People need a place to live. I mean, at our fundamental level, we're all pretty much the same. And without the bureaucracy, without the boardrooms, without all that stuff, the entrepreneurs are the ones who can just get out there and just come up with some type of an idea, and dozens of them, and it'll be different ideas, and it will work for some and it won't work for others. But the whole process of change, I mean, we're changing anyhow, right? So you either change with it or you're going to get left behind. But I love, you know what I mean? So
change is inevitable.
Yeah.
Except in vending machines, then it doesn't always come. But here's something I wanted to tell you. Something you don't know about me is that I was an SEO expert well before you were.
You were, probably because you were born before me. I'm only 29.
Well, let me explain. A million years ago, when I was a poor kid in college, I needed a job. I needed work. I was directing a counseling center. I was working. I was a student. I was teaching a course at the university, but I needed money. So I created Dave's Repair Service. Odd jobs, repairs and installations, carpentry, electrical, plumbing, and painting. And I put an ad in the back of the newspaper in Buffalo, New York, where I was attending the university. And it was under situations wanted mail, odd jobs, and it went on. However, I realized that it's alphabetical. So I became an SEO expert. I changed it to any odd jobs. Wah! And I was at the top of the list, brother.
Or AAA odd job services done for you.
Could have done that if I needed to, but I am the grandfather of SEO because I said any odd jobs. I never told you that. So you could thank me for creating an industry that you are one of the best at.
I am so grateful for that. But you're right, because I can remember when I first started, and even it wasn't too long ago that directories and stuff were still alphabetical, and people were, I remember even like 11 years ago when I was changing the name of my company, one of the considerations was, should I put down AAA computer repair, AAA online service, whatever it was, right? Because of the indexes and the directories that were out there. So good for you. But good for you more so, not so much that you did it. I mean, that was great that you did it. But the important thing was that you saw it. You saw, you were able to see what was happening and you changed it. Because the other people who were the C, D, E, F, G, and H's, right, they didn't see it. And that's why you were above them.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, man. I was making $100 a day back then, which was a ton of money. And I had, not only did I have a motorcycle and a bread truck, with the sliding door, which was, it was kind of cool. But I also had the best pop. I mean, back then, I don't smoke it anymore. Now that it's legal, it's no more, it's no longer interesting to me.
Yeah.
Unlike President Clinton, I did inhale, and but that was then and now is now. But it was definitely cool to have a bunch of money, because money gave me the freedom to direct the counseling center, which, like this program for you and me, isn't paying anything. Studying in college, that cost me money. Teaching a class at college didn't pay me anything. So having that money gave me the freedom to buy my motorcycle, buy my cars, and all. And today, having a lot of money gives me the freedom to not just invent and serve the world, and to live a big life, which I do. I've got a great life, just a magnificent life, but it gives me an opportunity to help and serve others, invest in other businesses. And money, which I thought growing up as a patriotic war protester, not a war protester that burned flags or dissed this country, but as a patriot, as an engaged citizen. I grew up in that regard thinking that money was bad, that money equaled napalm and bombs on babies. How bizarre is that? I had this conversation with Alec, actually. But I come to realize that money is good. It gives freedom from fear, freedom from want. And it's energy, and it's to be exchanged. So any entrepreneur out there, know this, that errant assumptions are the root cause of most business failure. Test your assumptions. Read my book, Illuminate, where you're taught to face, follow, and fix issues. That you can't solve everything you face, but you can't solve squat unless you face it. Face, follow, and fix it. Take action. Conserve cash. Spend it where you need to. But when you start thinking, I need to hire somebody for that or hire somebody for that, and get a coach or get a mentor, first ask yourself, what is it that I need? What do I really need? And what assets do I already have in that regard? And then look and see what you still need. And then go out and maybe seek counsel for those who might be able to close the gaps from where you're a 3 and you want to be a 6. Entrepreneurs, get serious. There's no time to waste.
I love it.
Time to waste.
I love it. And you've mentored some really high up there. I remember it was so funny when you told the story about your mom saying, she said, I think he's in the mob. I don't know what he does. And but you've Fortune 500s or even at Fortune 50s, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, I've worked with some amazing people, and the common thread is that so many of us are so busy doing it. We're not stopping to look and ask ourselves, if the business had a voice and could speak to us, what would it tell us that we need to do? What areas of the business would the business say you need to attend to? And then we could measure ourselves on our abilities to deliver to that. In one area we can deliver, we're great at marketing or sales. In another area, maybe accounting and finance, we kind of suck. So if on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 3, I want to at least be a 6 so I can hire or delegate the right person and keep them honest in that area. So that's performance gap analysis. I teach that. In fact, I'm going to give a gift. Ron, you asked earlier, you said, do you have a gift you can get? Yeah. If someone texts to 55678,
yeah,
and they text DMC2, and I'm sure you'll help them with this, Ron. Text the DMC2, DMC, David Mark Corbin, DMC2. They'll get a copy of a book that I've written, and it talks a little bit of performance gap analysis and other things. It's called Psyched on Service, and there's also a workbook that I put on that so that you can get that as well. The point is, self is introspect. Look inside, be very careful, get naked with yourself, really honest with yourself, and take an inventory of what's required of you and what capabilities you have to deliver on it.
I love it. And it's I love it. And it's scrolling right now, I believe. And does that DMC stand for devastating mind control?
Absolutely. That's what my parents had in mind when they gave me that name.
I remember Daryl, Mike, and the group DMC, remember? And that's what they said.
DMC.
Right.
Right.
But
the capital of the United States was named after me also, Washington, D.C.
Yes, and but it's funny that DMC is also your initials. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But excellent. So that's scrolling through right now, and I think that's so vitally important. Learn what your strengths and weaknesses are, and delegate out the rest. But do it, from a strength like. If I delegate this, what's the actual return? I mean, for me, one thing I've learned is never. I don't focus so much anymore on the ROI, the return on the investment. I mean, that's always important and that's always a figure. But for me, what I've been focusing on for the last few years more so is the ROR, that return on the relationship. Build a relationship with somebody, and just, deliver quality and focus on that long-term relationship, not just the one-off trades. I can do this and I'm going to get that, and it's situational. But I love how you just talked about how people need to just really get naked with themselves, see where they're at, do a real-time analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What is holding you back? What is it going to take to get you to get to that next level that you want to get to? And that's what this free gift is going to help them with.
Yeah, it is. The SWOT analysis, which you were sort of referring, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What so many people do is they focus in on their strengths, and opportunities, but they ignore the weaknesses and threats. So they kill the W's and T's and they just stay with the S's and the O's, and the S's and the O's, the strengths and opportunities. They say, when you focus in on the S's and the O's, you end up with a so-so business. And you don't want so-so. You want excellence. You want superb. You want magnificent. You want big, big in all aspects. And I also want to say, they talk about ROI. Yeah, you're right. But what's often missed is ROTI, ROTI, which is return on time invested.
Return on time, yep.
Looking at that, because that is an asset that it cannot be replaced. There's a bank of sustainable abundance, which is ideas and concepts which you can withdraw and never deplete the resources, right? That's what we talk about in a movie we did years back called Pass It On. Great movie. It's a great movie, and it's free now on YouTube. Pass It On. And I host that movie, and I take you through a bank with vaults, and each vault has wisdom. WISH, wealth, inspiration, success, and happiness. And you could, this bank, you could take as many withdrawals as you want and never deplete the resources, which is why we refer to it as the bank of sustainable abundance. And inside the vaults, oh my God, inside the vaults, you got Greg Reed, Mark Victor Hansen, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Congressman, the president of Southwest Airlines, Mario Lopez, all these people in the vault giving you wisdom, you see, and it's this wisdom that keeps organizations and nations flourishing because it's wisdom that's passed down sort of through the ages and generations. Pass it on. It's a very cool movie.
I love it. I'm going to watch it later today. But I really like that about your time, ROT, return on time. And I know I've talked to people about time opportunity and loss of time. And, if you're doing this and you're not doing what you're great at, you've lost that time, what you're going to develop. So I've talked around that. But the way you just phrased it is so much better. And because it applies to, for me too. I mean, if I'm spending time watching a video, at the end of the day, and I'm learning this or that. Am I learning? Is it worth my time, or should I be doing something else? And Laurel, she's funny. She'll talk about you shouldn't even be doing your own laundry or your own ironing, because you can get somebody to do that for minimum wage or close thereof, and you can take that 10 hours a week and you can do something far more productive with it, right? So I love ROT.
So let me say this, because I always take exception to some of my dear friends, and let's say Laurel, for example. Well, I think she's right. If changing your oil or doing your laundry and stuff, you could pay someone to do that, unless you enjoy doing it and it fulfills you.
Yep.
Now, if your goal is to just make money, well then it depends on what you charge. I charge $5,000 an hour with some people. That seems like a lot of money. Surgeons charge more. But if you earn, let's say, $100 an hour, and you could pay somebody $15 or $20 an hour to do your laundry, and now you're up in that $80, and that's great and groovy. That's if money is the object. For me, the goal is joy, happiness, peace of mind, satisfaction, love, contribution, and the like. So I love this pandemic. Forgive me as I say this because it sounds crazy and I've lost loved ones, but this is my favorite pandemic. Now that sounds nuts. And I don't feel guilty about enjoying my time in this pandemic. I don't think God wants me to feel guilty. In this pandemic, I have been a full-time ranch hand at my house here.
Wow.
I'm working on a car that I've had in the back for 20 years, a two-seater convertible, right? I love the fact that I got that engine turning over after 20 years. I rebuilt my tractor mower, which had been sitting there for 8 years, just been sitting there. My golf cart, which is fun when I have mentoring clients here at the cottage. My main house is over there. My library building is over there, and I'm in the cottage now. My clients fly in and they sleep in the cottage, and then I do my mentoring and stuff like that. And so this area that I'm in, like my clients would come in, we go in my golf cart and we go take a ride somewhere and we do our talking there. I rebuilt that and all. So it cost me a lot of money by doing it myself. Baloney. I loved it. So, and the other thing is you said a dirty word before.
Yikes.
You said a dirty word. I said the SH word, but you said the SH word. And the SH word that you said was should. And I don't believe in should. You should all over yourself when you say should. There's no shoulds. It's what lights you up, what satisfies, what builds you, what fortifies you is key, right? Same thing with food. There's shitty food out there. And then there's food that nature provided for us, that the good Lord, the divine gives us, which fortifies our body, I get it with regard to, hiring people to do those things for you unless it's something that you enjoy doing. I actually like doing the laundry, but my wife won't let me. And believe me, she can afford to pay somebody to do our laundry. I could afford to pay somebody to do our laundry. And if we didn't enjoy it, someone would be doing our laundry. But she does the washing, I do the folding, and we enjoy it. We make our own bed and we enjoy it. The two of us, it sounds silly, but that's part of our ritual. Just like at the end of the day, our ritual is sitting down outside. We have a living room outside with a TV, because at night we like to watch our Netflix at night. But we sit there and we talk about 3 things that lit us up during the day. We take turns. She gives one, I do another one. And then we talk about whose day did we make and what's something that we appreciate about one another in that day. And we do that every day. It's a beautiful ritual. Rituals are magnificent, but it's not something you should do. It's something that blesses you.
I love it, man. And that's a great thing too, because once you get into the shoulds, and I gotta check myself every now and then as well too. You could do this and you could do that. Once you get into the shoulds, it passes a total judgment on it. And if you're not doing it, then you're wrong, or you should feel some guilt, or you left something on the table. So thank you for that. And but you're right. And if you find solace in something and it gives you peace of mind or time to think and get off your business mind or whatever it is, and it gives you time to just separate, certainly, you know what I mean? But so I love it, and I saw the car that you had. I saw it up on Facebook, and it looked nice. I like it. And
so there's two of them, by the way. One is Irma, and she's painted up in old Woodstock kind of stuff, love and peace and whatnot. She's the one I'm working on. But I realized that by the time I got that done, it would become a job and a task that I did not want to invest that much time in. So I went and bought another one. I bought one that's completely restored. And I put that on my Facebook picture just yesterday. I love that boy. So his name is Obi, because he's ocean blue. Obi-Wan Carnobi, and her name is Irma. And my son said, "Dad, was it an arranged marriage?" I said, "No, they're not going to get together and make little Miatas or anything like that. No. So the thing about the should is, finally, I'll just say this. When you take inventory of what lights you up, what that, gosh, you could have a pit bull attached to your calf and not even realize it because you're so engaged in doing it. Whatever that is, pursue that. See what it is. Because we didn't come here. To work. I am not an award-winning author. I'm not an award-winning inventor. I'm not a mentor. I'm not a business owner. I'm none of that. But I'm all of that. What I am is a spiritual being. I'm a human being who plays these different roles. I play the role of father and grandfather and husband and lover and inventor. These are roles that we play. But make no mistake about this. I am a human organism, and I'm going to take care of my body temple. I'm going to take care of the 4 parts of David Corbin. My physical part, my body, my emotional part, my intellectual part, and my spiritual part. That's the quadrinity. And that's what I'm going to invest in. For when I do that, I could serve you. My friend Ron can call up and go, "Hey, Dave, I've got an opening on my show. I don't know if you're available, but would you? And I've got to run now to my next appointment." But yes, why? Because I took care of my quadrinity. I know it's important to me. Yeah, I could fit that in. I'd be delighted to serve you, brother, and serve those who you're serving. So when you attend to that quadrinity, when the physical body is not calling for so much attention that the spiritual body can't take over. When the emotional body is so kind of freaked out, when the intellectual is so freaked out, when you can keep those 3 in harmony, then the divine, that energy which knows how to make those oranges grow and those macadamia nuts out there grow, that energy can work through you, can work through me. So get to work on that. Get to work on, yeah. In fact, research the Hoffman Institute. Wonderful, wonderful training. I took about 8 years ago. It was one of the scariest things I've ever done, but it was powerful. Hoffman Institute, wonderful training.
Excellent. Dave, you've been amazing. I know you squeezed us in between our appointments today, and I'm so grateful. I think it was like Thursday or Friday. I said, "Hey, Dave, man, can you jump on Monday?" And you were like right there 2 minutes later. And just always a wealth of information and inspiration, but with factual, practical, step-by-step solutions. So it's not pie in the sky stuff. It's actual stuff that has worked, does work, and will work if you work it. So super grateful for you always, and I can't wait till this is over so I can jump on a plane, come to California. It seems like everybody or like 80% of everybody I know, if not more, from the speaking world and all that self-development and everything is all in California, and they all get together because they're 1 or 2 cities away. So I see people getting together quite frequently, and I'm sitting back here, man, just looking at people from. So I want to move to California, but between the fires, the taxes, and the politics, I got to stay away, man. You know what I mean? I'll come and visit for a month, but
I get it. I get it. We're taking off tomorrow for Santa Barbara. We live in San Diego. We're going up to Santa Barbara. We're looking at the air quality in there, and it's these are real considerations. Look, there's nothing more important than your health.
Yep.
When you have your health, you could think of so many things, so many ideas from books and podcasts and webinars. When you have your health, you could think of many things, but when you don't have your health, you only think of one thing, getting healthy. So it limits and narrows the gift that you have, which is this amazing life. All right. That's my message. I endorse it. I stand by it, and I'm going to get out of here.
I love it, man. Thank you so much, Dave. Sincerely appreciate your time, brother.
Much
Peace.
love, brother. Go get them, brother.
Thank you, man. You have a great day.
You too.